Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. Now, if anybody has trouble with electronics the way I do, then I have a number for you to call. If you don't hear me or if there's a disconnect or anything like that. By the way, I'm Randy Kamen. So if you're here for me, you're in the right place. The number is 800-263-6317. If you call that number, they're extremely responsive. My computer just dropped the whole presentation and they got me right back up in about 2 minutes. So they're really awesome. So, anyway, I just like to get going. There may be some stragglers coming in a few minutes late, but I don't want to waste a moment of our time. So, this webinar is about helping you to discover your life purpose and create your most vibrant midlife years. And what I'd love for you to do is to just get comfortable. And if you want to grab a glass of water or wine or tea, just if you could allow yourself this time uninterrupted so that it's just for you. You ideally don't have a lot of other electronics around you or aren't, distracted. I think you'll get the most out of this. So, and also there's going to be time for Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, if you have any burning questions, feel free to ask them during the presentation. There is at the bottom of your, if you see where it says screen sharing all the way down, there are a few things you might want to know about. One is that the fourth from the bottom says questions. And if you click on that and then click inside of that, you could actually ask me a question. And that way I will know that there's something that you want to uh, ask me. But you could also wait till the end for that. And then if there is a burning desire for anything, just type it in, as you wish, and I'll do my very best to respond to it. So, okay, so we've established you're in the right place. If you're here to learn some keys to discovering a more joyful and meaningful life. And if you've worried about your age or about reaching a certain time of your life where you've been raising the kids and working or doing whatever your life has demanded of you, chances are you've been caring a lot for other people and that you're here because you're at a certain point in life where you may be asking yourself, what am I doing now for myself? Or how can I make the most out of these precious years and make every one count? And what do I need to do so that I make these next 5, 10, 20, 25, whatever years I have or more as vibrant and meaningful as I possibly can? Most of us have spent so much of our time devoted to others that sometimes this question really becomes significant in midlife. And midlife is anything in the middle of life. Technically, it's between 40s and 60s, but honestly, I had a conversation with a colleague of mine the other day, and what we were talking about is philosophically, if you're alive and kicking, you're in the middle of life and you're midlife. So I spoke to somebody today on the phone and she said, I'm 60 years old. How could that be midlife? And I said, you're in the middle of life. And you still want these vibrant years to count one by one. So, what I'd like to do is share with you three strategies, as I said. The first one will be actually broken down into morning rituals so that you can have a ritual in the morning that sets the stage for you to feel grounded, connected internally, calm, and yet energized at the same time. And then I'd also like to segue from there because it's such a nice transition and how to move from your head to your heart so that you're not operating out of your mind and head the way you may have been trained to do all these years, but instead focusing more on a heart-based decision making place where you're really coming from your intuition and your guts about what needs to happen next in your life. And then creative an environment, a supportive community that is there for you rather than being a naysayer at this time of life, but that's really there for you, even if you're making some wacky decisions right now that you stuff that you want to experiment with and explore adventures you want to take. I mean, this is the time of life when we really want to become the most and fulfill our dreams and our deepest desires, because if not now, when? So, by learning a few simple strategies, you're going to be able to change the whole stage about the whole foundation from which you make decisions and live your life. And if there's one thing that every psychologist agrees on, it's that growth happens at different stages of life. And we have to approach those stages differently because developmentally we're just at different points. And what I'm teaching is andragogy. It's adult education. It's education that really resonates with the adult mind in so many ways. And even though some of this stuff is wonderful for children and adolescents, my program is really geared towards middle of the life and developmentally where we're coming from at that stage. So, if you don't have a goal or passion or interest during this time of life, it sometimes gets hard to keep plugging along, and that can lead to anxiety, depression, even chronic pain. So it really behooves you to know what sets me aglow, what sparks me, what sets me on fire in the morning so that you have something to look forward to. And I'm not just talking about looking forward to a big event, a celebration, a life passage, a trip, but really day in and day out and making that matter. So, what are the vibrant midlife years? What I've discovered in doing a tremendous amount of research is that there has been a preponderance of writing material about adolescence, about early adulthood, intimacy, marriage, pregnancy, early developmental stages with children and parenting and geriatric years. But for some reason, midlife is conspicuously missing in literature and research. And it's really not so good because what you do see written about midlife is fraught with anxiety and dread about getting the first inklings of mortality and being the sandwich generation or raising our kids and running on empty because we're not sure about the next stage. And it's anxiety riddled rather than coming from a perspective of these could be the best years of one's life. So rather than coming from fear, what you want to tap into are your deepest longings during these years and what really motivates you. Now, there's a reality here that there are physical and emotional changes that happen during midlife and we see ourselves as more vulnerable because we are. And there's not this feeling that maybe we had in our 20s, even 30s, that we're immortal, certainly as teenagers. We know that that's not the case. We've seen too much. We've been through too much. But that said, we can really pay attention to that burning desire and fuel it in a powerful way so that we feel like, okay, these years are really counting one day at a time, one precious day at a time. And that may mean pressing the refresh button and shifting consciousness, which is what some of these strategies really help you to do so that you're looking at life now as an evolution of sorts, a rebirth. So rather than feeling a void or a sense of emptiness, it's quite possible to feel really fulfilled during these years. And when you're feeling fulfilled and like you're living a life of meaning, it's hard to feel that nagging feeling of emptiness and loss. So, for this reason, I really like to focus on navigating through the midlife years and not being Pollyanna ish about it, but really being willing to say that I know that there will be challenges and losses, but I am going for it anyway. And even though I may be going through downsizing and empty nest and career changes, menopause, health concerns, loss, financial concerns, whatever it is, still you could go for it every day of your life and make the most out of it. So, and that's what all of the stuff that I teach is about. So, midlife is a dynamite time for personal growth and discovery. And it's just up to you to make the decision that I want to tap into my unique talents and abilities. And maybe you have over the years, and maybe you haven't. I have found that so many, especially women, have neglected themselves and their own desires in the name of other people over the years. But this is a time to recapture that and tune into that regardless of what's happening. And I'm going to show you some strategies that you can practice in under 10 minutes a day that will set the stage for you to make serious life changes and tap into your life purpose. But I do want to say that you can't fully master the strategies that I'll be teaching you even just tonight in just an hour. It does require more than that, but this is a really good, solid introduction to some of the stuff that could really set you on the path. So I just want to share a little story of mine, and that's that this is a picture of me a number of years ago, about 6 years ago. And I remember the Lenny Zakem Bridge is in the background, and I remember so distinctly when this picture was taken. I had recently lost my mother. There was her untimely death. Maybe it was longer than 6 years ago, actually. And I was at a point where I was working about 8 to 10 hours a day seeing patients. And although I loved what I did, I was really burnt out. I was really burnt out from the hours of sitting every day, day in, day out. My body was starting to hurt. And now they've come up with all this new research that sitting is the new smoking. And I felt like my body was a chain smoker and that really falling apart from all the sitting. And I knew I had to make a change. I knew I needed more flexibility with my life and with my work. Even though I loved my work, I couldn't keep up with this pace and this level, this kind of work. So in this picture, I'm kind of depressed. And it was around this time that I decided to make a change. And the change really was representative of another chapter in my life where I decided I'm going for it. I'm cutting way back on my private practice and I'm going to start writing and speaking. Here I'm doing a radio show, and I started doing a radio show. I had I have a little television show on Martha's Vineyard where I share my time living, and I really was doing a lot of writing. And I remember when my first article got published for the Huffington Post, I was just doing the happy dance. It was so wonderful. And then I also decided to write a book, and I got quickly, not that quickly. After the fact, it seems quickly, but I got a publisher and an agent rather, and then that finally I couldn't get it published. So I self-published, but then recently it got picked up by a medical publishing house and is being published and going in libraries around the world. So from this very tiny thing, it really grew exponentially. And I have to say, I wasn't even a good writer to begin with, but it was really the chronicity of doing it. I made a decision I wanted to do something, and I just did it day in and day out. And I found my voice and it started to get better. And now when I have to write, I write these emails and I write for different publications. And when I do it, it's not that it always comes easily, but it's a passion of mine and I enjoy it. And it's gotten it's there's become a life to it, as these things do, as has speaking, as has doing all sorts of things. The technology, which is so challenging for me, the fact that I can even get this webinar going is nothing short of a major miracle. So if I could do this, anybody could go for their dreams. So this was the biggest challenge of all, was simply getting a webinar going. So midlifers are at the pinnacle of their knowledge, experience, and wisdom. And we've got to leverage this however it's meaningful to us. And we all have different goals, and it's not too late for any of us. I could tell you stories of women that I know. There's a woman that I know. I was working with her in her 80s. She was starting a new business and learning how to meditate and practicing yoga, and her whole life started to turn around in her mid 80s. And she just thought, I'm going for it. And my own grandmother, when she was in her early 80s, remarried. Her husband died, sadly, and my grandfather. And she remarried a few years later and boogied on well into her 90s, because she wanted to learn throughout her life and grow throughout her life. And that's really the ticket, is to find your interests and continue to grow throughout the life cycle. As soon as you stop, you're in trouble. So, and that, I think there's a strong correlation between people that don't have interests and make the decision to retire, that get into trouble. They often get sick, they have pain problems. There's something to be said for following your passion, whether it's work related or whatever it is. And that may take experiments and research and practice, trial and error, to see what you really love to do. But one thing I want to say is that in these years, what I've decided to do is, above and beyond everything, is to create a systematic approach to making the vibrant midlife years the most the sweetest and best years of life, or as good as they could possibly be. One of, if not the best chapter of life. And that's by finding meaning and joy in every day. And those are the strategies. That's the system that I teach, is all in the service of getting you there. And though, it was scary for me taking the leap, but I never looked back, even though it meant a significant change in terms of my income and my security in life. I just felt like I need to go for this. This is more important, is that I'm being true to myself. And my guess is the same as for you. So there aren't any magic bullets, but once you get on the path, you know when you're on the path, you know when you're being authentic, when you've found your voice. And if you don't know, I know that I could show you how. This the grounding and the learning how to be with yourself and sit with yourself, all of these things emanate from having a strong inner foundation. And that's really what I teach. And then what comes out of it, we start to move around and develop, so that we can get to a point of, okay, what's my life purpose, or what are my life purposes? Because most of us were not intended for one or two. We're complicated people, and we have multifacets, and we want to address as many as we can for as long as we can and use it. And my orientation is to help people retrain their brains so that they could respond better to opportunities as they arise, and to all of the challenges and losses and transitions that we face, so that we can deal with them and that we could move on. Because here we are and we want to live our fullest life. And as a dear friend of mine said, life is for the living. And it's not that we don't mourn our losses, but we have to go on. I mean, I just suffered a loss, and for me, it was a very significant loss. And as sad as it is, life goes on. And that's true for all of us. So, on that note, I just want to share the 5 top regrets of the dying because I think it's very instructive in informing us about what not to do or what not to regret at the end of life. And one of the things is to have had the courage not to do, to be true to oneself rather than doing the stuff that others expect from us. And chances are we've done a lot of that over the years, pleasing our parents, pleasing our spouses, pleasing our friends, doing what's expected at our meetings, at work, or whatever. And at what point do we say, I'm going to really follow my truth and follow my path? And most of us, if we're not squarely in that space, are getting there really quickly. The next is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I relate to that one. However, that said, I don't regret it. I feel like I have a purpose and I don't regret it, but I can see how some people are doing what they don't want to be doing and may have that regret. So that's definitely something to consider. Also, I wish I'd had the courage to express my true feelings. And I think that this is especially true for women who were taught along the way, oftentimes, maybe not our daughters as much, um, not to use our true voices, that somehow we're supposed to keep it to ourselves. So what happens is what we do is hold back. And then when we do express ourselves, it's not unusual to cut loose. I don't know if that's true for you guys, but it's what I've witnessed over the years is that a lot of women have a hard time modulating, speaking from their heart, their truth in a calm way, in a balanced way. And that's really the goal, is to be able to speak your truth compassionately, no matter who you're speaking with. And that is a regret that people have upon death, that I wish I'd spoken my truth. The other is I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. And I think that that one's just so important. And it's great that Facebook allows us to do, and technology allows us to do more of this, but obviously nothing beats spending time with friends in a face-to-face manner where we could really share our truths and ourselves. And in fact, it's been shown that in terms of longevity and health, that's a great predictor for women, is to have friendships for longevity and health. It helps across all parameters, psychologically, um, and physically as well as relationally. People just do better when they have friends. And then lastly, I wished I'd allowed myself to be happier. Somehow we think that maybe we're not supposed to feel happy, or maybe you don't know how to be happy. So all of this will also be addressed. I'm going to touch upon this now in discussing the strategies with you. So let's go into the strategies. The first one I said would be about creating a morning ritual so that first thing in the morning you can get grounded, clear, energized, focused. And all of this happens by doing a simple breathing exercise. Now, I teach in the course that I will be teaching, I teach a whole series of different breathing exercises, all of which do different things. But this one basic exercise really makes a difference day in, day out. You could never go wrong doing this, because what it does is it creates a simple rhythm and it smooths you out and relaxes you on a mental and physical level. It absolutely works. It's a matter of making the decision to do it and then doing it on a regular basis whenever you think about it. This is something that can't be overdone. And in fact, the more you do it, the more you train your brain to get used to this, and the more it becomes automatic. So eventually, you don't even have to think about this. You'll just be doing it automatically because you practiced it so much that it became internalized. It became a neural path, a neural track that it has its own line of operation, if you will. So, what this means is when you breathe in, most of you may know this, but it's different knowing it than doing it. So, I'd really like you to focus on this. When you breathe in, your belly goes out. So, it's like this. See where her hand is? So ideally, if you could place your hand so that your thumb is at your belly button and your fingers are below, and then breathe it in and breathe it out. And when you breathe in like a balloon, your belly goes out, but at the same time, you're in good posture so that your core is not just slackening, it's not just hanging out. You're lifting up in your core the way you would in Pilates or just with good posture. And you're breathing in and breathing out. So you're holding your core, not tight, but you're holding your core in a nice way in good posture, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And that's how you want to breathe all day long. And when you breathe out, your belly goes in. So you breathe in and your belly goes out. You breathe out and your belly goes in. In and out. In and out. And if you find yourself getting anxious, this is a natural antidote to anxiety. So if you breathe in a relaxed way, you're not going to be anxious because you cannot be anxious and relaxed at the same time. That's an incompatible response always. They don't coexist. You can be relaxed and energized at the same time, or relaxed and tranquil at the same time. I guess those are pretty much the same, but you can't be relaxed and anxious. Now, if you do find yourself in an anxious state, what you can do is deepen this breath. I go into this in greater detail in the course, but really just deepen your breath. So you're taking a deep breath in, holding for a couple of extra seconds and blow it out so that you're empty, 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 completely empty. And that's where the relaxation occurs. And then take another deep breath in. If you take 3 or 4 of those, you'll initiate a swifter relaxation response than if you just do the abdominal breathing. But the abdominal breathing, breathing in and breathing out, is how you want to breathe all the time. So you're sitting in the car and you're driving, or you're at a meeting. Maybe you're at a meeting and getting aggravated. That's a great time to practice the breathing. Or you're bored. Again, a great time to practice. So just whenever you think about it, you're having a conversation with a parent or a kid or your spouse or a friend, whatever, and you don't have to be aggravated. You just might find that, okay, I'm feeling kind of itchy. I think I'm going to just get myself to calm down. And the way to do that is to make your breathing more rhythmical. It's to slow it down a tiny bit, not much, but you want to make it a little slower, a little deeper, a little bit more rhythmical, and some say a little bit more quiet, so that you're just breathing in and breathing out and breathing in and breathing out at your natural pace. Now I want to take it, well, no, I want to show you something else. So this guy is sitting in a position called constructive rest. And if you're having trouble just doing this breathing in with your stomach naturally expanding and then breathing out with your belly flattening, then I recommend that you get into this position. You could do this on bed, on a yoga mat, on a table. What I recommend, he's in really good alignment. Okay. You may or may not need the book that's under his head. That depends on your posture. But what I would recommend is that you have a couple of pillows underneath your knees so that you're not holding them up. You're just letting them kind of flop down, but they're supported so that you're in good alignment. So bending the knees is important. And then he has his hands on his upper belly, which is not what you want. Ideally, you want your hands to feel the rise and fall of the belly. And the way to do that is to get your hands a little further down so that you could really feel where the action is taking place. So think of it this way. When you breathe in, the air travels down, the lungs expand, and the diaphragm wants to drop down. But if you don't expand your low belly, the diaphragm is not going to drop down. The lungs won't expand completely, and you will be taking a shallow, more rapid breath, which will lead to anxiety. So abdominal breathing, period. That would be the biggest gift you could possibly give yourself. And I have to say that learning that one thing has been transformative in my own life. I could tell you I learned it a long time ago and I still think about it every single day of my life because I move in the direction of type A anxiety. And to this day, I find myself saying, okay, Randy, you know what to do. So do it. Breathe abdominally. And I will, whether I'm speaking or I'm working or I'm writing or I could be taking a walk, but I'm breathing abdominally. And also, if you breathe abdominally while you're doing exercise, it will elicit that feeling, that runner's high, if you will, that feeling of you're in a rhythm faster. So it's a really cool thing on so many levels to institute into your life on a daily ongoing basis. Okay, so now I'd like to move into very quickly. I'd like to, not that it's a quick thing to talk about or something that I want to speed through, and that's just the idea of doing a brief meditation. So what I recommend is that when you wake up, the first thing you do is if you have to go to the bathroom, then quickly get back into bed or on a cushion or on a yoga mat and sit up and do some breathing exercises. If you're in pain or if you'd rather lie down, lie down. It's fine as long as you don't go back to sleep because that's not the point of this. And do your abdominal breathing. Excuse me. And then you could move right into a meditation. And it's such a natural segue, and I'll explain why in a moment. But what you want to do with the meditation is so much like the breathing that it's just a natural extension. Because the meditation that I teach, that many teachers teach, is that you're focusing on the rise and fall of each breath. You're just breathing in and breathing out. The whole thing is to get into a comfortable position, ideally sitting, but it does not have to be sitting if that doesn't work for you. So no guilt trip, don't worry about it. Just get comfortable, just as long as you're in good alignment, whether it's lying down or sitting. But if you're sitting, you want to sit as if you're sitting with integrity. You're sitting like you're sitting and having a formal dinner. You're in good posture. So the way to achieve that is to have a pillow in your mid back. It used to be that people would say have it in your low back, but really the thing that gets you the good posture is to have it in your lumbar spine, a pillow. So you're sitting up in a chair and then you're breathing in and breathing out. And this time, you're not trying to control, change, manipulate the breath in any way. What you're doing is just watching the rise and fall of every breath, breathing in and breathing out. No manipulating. Don't worry about, is it abdominal breathing? Doesn't matter. And when your mind wanders, which it will, you want to very gently bring your attention back and just say, oh, well, and bring your attention back to breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out. And then you hear a boom outside or the phone's ringing in another room, hopefully not in the room you're in. You've turned that off or put your phone in the other room, or you get a distraction one way or another. You bring your attention back to breathing in and breathing out. So what I'd like to do is just do this with you for 2 minutes. We'll just take 2, maybe 3 minutes tops to do this. And the way I teach it and the way I encourage you to practice it, that's entirely up to you. The meditation is simply sitting down for 5 minutes and breathing in and breathing out and bringing your attention back and bringing your attention back. And when you breathe in, you say the word in. When you breathe out, you say the word out. That's the whole thing. And you have a non-judgmental attitude. And when 5 minutes are up, if you're looking at your watch or you're looking at the clock, just don't set an alarm, but you've made a decision about how many minutes you wish to meditate. Just allow that time to elapse. And if only 4 minutes have elapsed, then you just say, oh, well, and you go back so that you do your full 5 minutes. But it's up to you how long you wish to meditate. But I would suggest that you have that time in mind before you get going. So you say, this morning when I meditated, I said, okay, 10 minutes. And I opened my eyes after 8. I usually get it pretty much on the dot because I've trained myself, and it's very easy to train yourself because there's a part of the brain, the reticular activating system, that sort of tunes us in to get up or to know exactly what the time is. Like if you're supposed to get up at 5 o'clock and you get up at 4:59 before the alarm goes off, that's the reticular activating system. Anyway, so at 8 minutes went off and I just said, okay, close your eyes, go back to it, Randy, 2 more minutes. That was your commitment this morning. And I went back and that was that. So you're breathing in, breathing out, bringing your attention back. And there's only one other thing that I like to do when I do the meditation. And that is I like to do a little body scan first. So that before I really get into the meditation, I go from head to toe, just telling every body part, not every body part, but a lot of body parts, to just relax. And I'll do that with you. So we'll take a minute doing that, where I'll tell different parts of your body to relax, and then breathing in and breathing out for a couple of minutes. And then we'll just do that together and then come out and we'll carry on after that. Is everybody game? Do you guys see that there's a hand raising application under attendees? Because if you would just raise your hand that you want to do this, I'd appreciate that. Does everybody see the third one down? Okay, I see a few hands raised. Anybody else? Come on, you see the function? Seems like enough of you have raised your hands, but I'd love you all to raise your hands. Okay, we're in pretty good shape. All right, thanks. So, okay, what I'd like you to do is just relax your eyes closed. If you're wearing glasses, you may wish to remove them, and we'll just quickly go through this, do a scan, and then breathing in, breathing out. Okay, so relaxing your eyes closed, you're in good sitting posture, and your back is supported, and just breathing in and breathing out at your own pace, relaxing all of your facial muscles, especially the little muscles around your eyes and jaws. Relax your scalp so that your muscle sheath that makes up your scalp slackens, is relaxed. The little muscles around your eyes and jaws release, and your neck and shoulders are relaxed. Your shoulders are falling directly over your torso, and your arms and hands are relaxed. You might notice that there's warmth flowing into your hands, and then feel the full weight of your body being supported by the chair or couch or whatever surface you're sitting on, so that you're sitting effortlessly with your back supported, your hips and thighs supported, and traveling down your legs. Feel the contact that your feet are making with the floor, and your whole body is being supported by the chair or couch or floor. And you're just sitting effortlessly, being supported fully by the floor and by the earth beneath the floor. And now just watching the rise and fall of each breath without changing or manipulating it in any way. Just breathing in and breathing out. And just watching the rise and fall of every breath as you breathe in and breathe out. And when your mind wanders, which it will, very gently, very compassionately, bring your attention back to the breath, finding the rise and fall of your breath as you breathe in and out, letting go as you exhale, letting go and going deeper as you breathe in and out, in and out at your own pace, and letting go as you exhale. Nice. And when you're ready, just gradually begin opening your eyes, feeling relaxed and refreshed, more so than before. And just take your time coming out. Okay, so if there are any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer that, preferably after I'm done here. But the meditation is something that really only needs to happen for a few minutes. And if you practice this for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, under 5 minutes a day, you're going to be getting a lot of value. And one of my favorite things about the meditation is that it gives one the ability to zoom in on things and detail oriented things, micro things. And yet it also gives us the capacity to zoom out and have more of an aerial perspective of our lives. So we get to be very intricate, and we also get an overview. So that's a really nice thing to be able to move in and out of. So there are so many benefits from the meditation. There are so many thousands of studies that have been done that I'm not going to even touch that, because I could tell you that on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relational, psychological, every parameter you could think of, for cancer, for diabetes, for heart disease, for anything you could think of. I really can. The only thing I could think of that does not coordinate well with the meditation is if somebody has psychosis or some severe mental disorder. Then it might be contraindicated. But I would say that that's a good indication that, don't fuss with it. But otherwise, it's just such a powerful thing. And what I love about the meditation also is that you could do this either after the breathing or after the meditation. So let's say in the morning, your morning ritual is you're going to get up in the morning and you're going to do some breathing exercises, but you don't want to do the meditation. So don't do the meditation. But if you do the meditation, you could do this after the meditation, or you could just do it after the breathing. What I'm trying to say here is that when you're relaxed, your mind is open to suggestion. So you want to be very careful what you say to yourself in those moments. When you're deeply relaxed, we take in what we hear. So our brain takes it in and it becomes embedded. So you want to be mindful of how you speak to yourself. So after the breathing or after the breathing and the meditation or just the meditation, what I like to incorporate is some kind of affirmation. And I'm not talking about a bogus, affirmation, but something that feels real, like, and I have a few of them. So what you're doing is you're setting an intention, for example, for the day. It could be in the morning that you're setting an intention. If you meditate in the evening, you could have an affirmation or an intention for the evening as well. So a few that I like to use is, may my day be filled with ease. And I know that when I start out my day and if I'm feeling like, oh my God, I have so much to do, I really hate that feeling. I like to feel like I have a day ahead of me that is full, and may I go through it, may I move through it with ease. And it's a very different approach than, oh my God, what's going to happen? I can't possibly get it all done today. So even if that might feel true and that might be the language that you use, you want to shift that around because that language is dangerous. You want to make it so that I could move through this with ease because it's not going to help you. It's only going to run interference. Another one I love that I learned from a yoga teacher is that I cherish her language and her words. And she often says, already healed, already whole. So rather than being in process with becoming whole or integrated or one with oneself, you're there already. And it's not too far from the truth because we're in process with it. But really, if we look at ourselves deeply, most of us are really there. We just have to access it more. And another one is, I feel loved and loving. I'm going to have an awesome day. And another one that I love is, I can handle this. And that was another dear friend and yoga teacher of mine. And no matter what's going to be thrown my way, I could do it. I've got this. So I just wanted to talk about a story. I wanted to just give you a brief little story about a patient of mine who came to see me because she was depressed. She was going through an empty nest, a difficult marriage. She hated her job. Everything was wrong when she came to see me. And she had fluctuations between anxiety, depression, and pain. So there was always something going on that was negative. And she had a really difficult past also. And I spoke to her and learned about her story. And when I suggested to her, like, okay, um, let's start doing some of these strategies, she was very resistant to it. And I could not convince her to do it. But then one weekend, she was hospitalized for what she believed was a heart attack. And what she discovered, excuse me, in the hospital was that she was having a panic attack. And after that, she agreed to learn the strategies. And I have to say, in 6 months, her life really started to change in a very significant way. She started to do the breathing. She did some meditation. She didn't become a yogi, but she did practice some yoga. And she really started to take control of her life. And she decided, I've hated my job for 20 years. It's time to stop doing this. She had just had a 50th birthday, and she made the decision to take painting classes and have a brief hiatus. Agreed with her husband that she would take a sabbatical. And after that, she started her own business teaching disabled kids. Within a year, she did this, just on a very small scale. Actually, now it's a much bigger scale, but still manageable. And it's not like she's got this big school, but she started teaching disabled students arts and crafts after school. And she's just loving what she's doing. She is making money doing it, but it is so fulfilling that she feels like I'm really living my life now. And they got couples therapy. Her marriage is doing better. And it's amazing how, when you get on the path, how everything starts to shift. And it's like a domino reaction. So, another thing that happens when you have this foundation is that you begin to have the tools to move from your head to your heart. So you're no longer just focused on, what do I want to do? What do I need to do? Let me figure this out, and coming from an intellectual place. And what's so important is that we focus on doing something that we love every day. And once you start doing that, you start finding your purpose because you know you're on the path. And it's not usually just one thing. So, what I find is that a lot of people, when they're looking for their purpose, they're thinking, how come I haven't found my purpose? I have one friend that is always saying this: I've never had a passion. I don't know my purpose. But actually, she has so many purposes and so many interests, and just doesn't name them that way. But if you start looking at the things that light you up, that make you feel happy and joyful after doing them, those are the things. And the only way to find this out is by doing. It's not an intellectual thing. It's by getting out there and doing, really doing the stuff um, that you are interested in doing, and finding out, how much is this that I resonate with? Is this the right thing for me? Or maybe I should be doing something else. And you move from activity to activity until you find what you love. So, emptiness is that feeling that something is missing and there's something lacking. But when we're doing what we love, our hearts sing, and we know it. So I just want to give you a great equation, and that's that passion and daily action is our purpose. When you do something every day that you love, day in and day out, you are leading a purposeful life. And that's really the key, is to make it so, like with the writing that I was doing, I wasn't very good at it. I mean, I hadn't really written since graduate school, but it was the daily action. The whole thing about 10,000 hours. I don't even know how true that really is, but when you do something and you continue to build on it, you will not only get better at it, you're going to like it more. You're going to love it more. So the next strategy or key to a purposeful life is to have a support system. And by that, I mean to really tune into the people that support you, that want you to have the best possible life, that not the Debbie Downers or the people that are judging you or that don't want you to experiment or go off and explore during these years. There are people in your life that may be keeping you small, and you want to keep your distance from those people. And it may be that it's a family member and you can't keep your distance. But if you can, I suggest that you do. And if you can't, I suggest that you put a bubble around yourself so that somehow when somebody tries to keep you back, that you have the fortitude during these years, because this is your time. This is it. So if somebody is holding you back in any way, you step in and protect yourself and protect this very, very precious time of yours, because who knows? And you want to make these years as compelling as you can. So this is just a picture of a retreat that I did on Martha's Vineyard, and just a group of women that have most of whom have continued supporting each other. But what I love doing is seeing a group of women come together and support each other and help each other be as large, as big in life as they could be, and as extraordinary as they could be. So it's like daring to be the CEO of your life, daring to become empowered, especially during these years, especially if you feel like you've been held back all these years. This is the time to listen to the whispers of your heart and soul and to say, I'm going for it. I'm not just sitting around and waiting for something to happen, because that hasn't worked in the past and it's not going to work now. The only way it's going to happen is if you really make it happen. And I want to say something else, that happiness is something that we all want. But the happiness that most of us have been taught to go for is not the enduring kind. It's a fleeting kind. If it's about an adventure, a trip, a this or that, it's about stuff or doing stuff. That's all valuable. But the most enduring kind of happiness comes from leading a meaningful life. So you need to know that what you're doing is meaningful to you. It's only important that it's meaningful to you. And even if you suffer sometimes with whatever that is, I know that learning the technology for me has been insufferable. But on the other hand, it's opened up so many doors to doing what I want to do on a different scale, that it's worth it. So you have to decide, is this worth it? And can I put up with some of the things I don't want to do and I don't like, in the name of doing something that's meaningful and important to me? So, okay. And I also want to say that the fastest way to happiness, if you're really interested in meaningful happiness, the fastest way to happiness is to help somebody else. All the research points to that. It's being able to help somebody else and also being grateful for your life. And if you could tap into those two things, that is meaningful and that is happy. At least that's the more enduring kind of happiness. And there's a lot of research that backs that up. So these were the three strategies that we talked about: the morning ritual of breathing, of meditation, constructive rest, if that works for you, and then saying what your intention is for the day. So you're setting the stage for the day, and then dropping from your head to your heart so that you're tapping into what you want to do in your guts, in your soul. And then building your awesome community by surrounding yourself by people that help you to become true to yourself and bigger rather than smaller in every possible way. So the choice is really yours. I don't have a lot of time left, and I promised you that at the beginning that I'd tell you more about, if you were interested in learning more about this stuff, how to do that. So I just like to speak to you about the course that I'm offering, which is a 7-week course. There are 5 content-rich modules that are recorded that will be yours to keep. You would get them for 5 consecutive weeks. And then simultaneously, there are 7, and this is really the much more significant piece. There are 7 live sessions where we'll be meeting for about at least an hour and a half, but I'll go until the last question is asked, so that you can get all the tools integrated into your life. We could really have discussions and hot seats, and you can figure out, how do I implement this? Or I don't want that, but what do I do to create a systematic approach for me that's personalized for me? And everybody that takes this course will leave having their own personalized, systematic approach to creating the most vibrant midlife years that they possibly can, and learning how to live a life of purpose, not just find it, but live it. Like, what do I need to do to weave this into my life? There will also be, and this is really cool if you're interested, and this is an ongoing thing. There's also going to be a live, well, there's going to be a Facebook group, but it's a closed Facebook group. So the only way that you could be in this Facebook group is to have taken this course. So it's going to be very, very small at the beginning, but it's going to grow because this is the first time I'm offering this, but I'll continue to offer this program. And you'll be in on the ground floor, and you'll grow and you'll meet people. And the women that I've spoken to so far that are interested in taking this course are just great. And I just think it's going to be an amazing group of women. And I hope that you're one of them because it's going to be a wonderful course. And I know I have rich material. I have spent my entire life, it's over 35 plus years, doing all this research and clinical work. And I've really put it together in a systematic approach that I've not seen elsewhere. And it's just very cutting edge and relevant and stuff that you could immediately start weaving into your life. And honestly, with all the stuff that I'll be teaching you, you could create in less than 30 minutes a morning, afternoon, and evening program for yourself that takes minutes out of the day. Because when you think of 30 minutes over the course of the day, that can really transform your life on a transform your life, not just today, but transform the way you think. It can retrain your brain to start perceiving things in a different way, to start receiving the positive experiences in your life in a better way so that you don't let these moments, these beautiful moments of life slip away. And we'll have each other. So it'll be in the Facebook group, but these live sessions will be wonderful because everybody will have a chance to speak and to share if they want or not. And the other thing that I want to tell you is that all of these sessions will be recorded. So the live sessions will be recorded and you'll have access to the recordings that I'm giving you. As well as the live sessions. Those will be recorded as well. And those are just yours to keep. And they also have like self-hypnosis exercises and full meditations and visualizations and just all kinds of tools and strategies woven together. And you'll learn how to weave them together. So, okay, so I just want to go over quickly what the modules are. The first module is about getting grounded. So it's really going much more deeply, and it won't be such a monologue that like this is. I feel like I'm just blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry, but it's hard to be conversational, but it won't be hard to be conversational in the live course. We will have not only a dialogue, we'll be able to have conversations. So it's about getting clear. It's all the stuff about mindfulness and breathing and meditation, visualization, and really laying the foundation for all the other work that we'll be doing. And the second module is also about laying the foundation for night and day. Like, what are the afternoon and evening rituals, which we didn't even touch upon, that you could weave into your day? And that will really round it out so that you get a better night's sleep. So you wake up, you have a better afternoon, you just the rhythm of the day really starts to smooth out for you, regardless of what comes up, regardless of the challenges and losses and transitions and whatever it is that you're going through. And then the next module is about building greater self-compassion. And really, all of these are sort of woven together. And what does that even mean? So this is not about self-esteem, which is conditional upon performance. This is really about, how do I love myself unconditionally? Because we all screw up and we all have our stuff, our drama about who we are. And how do we find the compassion to love ourselves? Because that gives us the compassion to love other people too. And then also building in gratitude into our lives because it's so conspicuously lacking for so many of us. And yet it's one of the keys to mental health is being grateful. There's a lot of research on that. It's also one of the keys to happiness is to be able to take in all that we have in our lives where most of us are so blessed. My guess is everybody on this webinar is extremely blessed in one way or another, or chances are you wouldn't be here. So we have so many blessings that we just kind of let wash over us, and there's a way to capture them so that we start to value what's in our life more, and that makes us happier. And also how to forgive, because we can say, I forgive you, or, oh, okay, I'm going to forgive that person for hurting me. I'm going to forgive my mother for what she did. All that destructive, blah, 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 that we go into. And most of us actually don't know how to really forgive. And we don't know how to really let go. But there are strategies in which you can really learn to change your brain in such a way that you can develop this capacity. And this is research based. This has been shown that when you practice these certain methodologies, you can learn how to forgive in an authentic way, and it changes your life. It frees you up to have the life that you want. So the next is cultivating more joy, more bliss in your relationships. And I'll be talking about how to improve communication on so many different levels that you could really have better intimacy and better friendships and better relationships across the board. So I'll be dissecting that and rebuilding that in a number of ways. And then finally, discovering your purpose. And that's where I'm going to spend two. I was only going to do one, but I threw in an extra session so that we're doing an two sessions on how to personalize your systematic approach about what your particular life purpose is, weave it into your life so that it becomes this living, breathing thing. So just imagine what your life would be with more inner peace, with more clarity, with more ability, more capacity to live the life of your dreams and to get the support that you want, that you long for on some level, even if you haven't even named it yet. So it's about living your life full out, your one beautiful and precious life, full out now. It's not too soon to start doing this for anybody on this call. So wouldn't you just love to create a life that you love and to wake up excited about the day and about what's in front of you? Because it's possible to change anxiety and fear into courage and living with a full heart, wholeheartedly. And this is something that you can learn how to do. And even if this is a time of challenge and loss for some of us, it also can be one of the best chapters of your life. It is possible. So please sign up for my course. It's very inexpensive, and it's never going to be this inexpensive ever again. It's the first time I'm offering it, and I think it's going to be amazing. And if you can be there, it would just be so awesome. And know that if you can't get, if there are times when you look at the schedule, which is on my website, if you go to drrandykamen.com/course and you see that there are times that you can't come, just know all of those recordings will be available and you will get my support and guidance throughout. And you'll learn so much. I promise that this will transform your life. And it's $497, and honestly, 2 hours of my time costs more than that. So and there's just so much that you'll be getting out of it. And not only that, the ongoing, when I have updates to this course, you'll have access to that for as long as you like. And you could be in the Facebook group for as long as you like. You'll also get an electronic copy of my book if you haven't. Um, Even if you have gotten it, you'll have the electronic version. That's a bonus for anybody that signs up. And that has become a bestseller on Amazon. And as I said, it's been picked up by a publishing house. So it's actually going to be available in another format. And when that format comes out, I'll let you know. And as I said, for anybody that comes to my course tonight, there was going to be a bonus. So if you don't have to do anything, you don't have to sign up for my course to get this. But if you go to drrandykamen.com/breath meditation, you'll get a full meditation exercise that you can follow at your own pace. And if you listen to that and you like it, what you could do is, rather than listening to the instructions at the beginning, you could just click on to where you want to be and listen to it for as long as you want. Eventually, what you may find most people do is that they listen to the recording, and over time, just like listening to anybody's meditation, that you develop the tools they're internalized, and you want to go at your own pace. But for learners, for beginning to learn how to, oh yeah, you could see it. So when you're first learning how to meditate, it helps to have the guidance. After that, you might do very well on your own. So here are the two links. One is Dr. Randy Kamen .com/course, and I really hope you'll sign up. It's going to be an awesome course, and if I do say so myself. And also sign up for the breath meditation, which is drrandy.com/breath meditation. And now, if anybody has any questions at all, please let me know. I'd love to respond to any questions about the strategies, about the course, about anything I talked about, or any burning question that you may have. I'd love to respond to your questions. One other thing I forgot to say, if anybody wants to speak to me directly, there's absolutely no charge. It's my gift to you for showing up and being and honoring me by coming. Thank you so much. I'd be happy to talk to you about the course to see if this is really a good fit for you, because I only want you to do this if it's a good fit for you. But if it is, I really want you to do it. So if you just email me at randy@drkamen.com. I'd be happy to set up a Skype meeting with you or a phone call, whatever works. So it's randy@drkamen.com. And that might be a good way to go if you're on the fence or have any questions whatsoever. So there you have it. I'm so glad you came tonight. Are there any questions? I see one question, but let's see if I'm in and excited. Yay! Okay, anybody else? It's going to be good, guys, I swear. So do let me know if you have a question or anything that you'd like to know about. Randy@drkamen.com. Let's set up a telephone appointment. I think it might really help you to make this decision if you're on the fence. So it looks like somebody else is signing up too. So thank you so much, guys. So any questions? I don't see any questions. I see 2 hands raised, but no questions. Are those hands raised for a question or, well, if not, I look forward to seeing you in the course. And do let me know if you have any questions. And I wish you so much happiness. And I'll see you in the course, I hope. Bye for now.